Hey there. So, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about my experience with dealing with a couple of friends of mine who have been living in Netherlands, one in Netherlands, one in Belgium, and one in United States. And I have been talking with them, understanding their own livelihoods, the way how they feel about their own country, their own governments, and the kind of affordability that they have over there, and the kind of you know mm, essential essentially how they feel about the country, and how I compare my own country with them. And I found it strange in most Indians that they have this urgency to leave their country and go abroad, thinking that their lives would be much more easier compared to here. It would become easier if you are a multimillionaire or a billionaire per se. Because if you are a millionaire, then you would definitely prefer to go somewhere like Belgium, or any European country or United States. Uh, Even though United States may seem a bit racist because of the uh, Trump movement or the MAGA movement, Make America Great Again or whatever. But the thing what I'm trying to point out is this urgency among the youth to go to a foreign country in order to save themselves from the decapitated economy that we are facing right now. It's certainly true that the economy has fallen to a very very mournful state right now, and we have a lot of hatred stemming within the country. And the hatred, uh, it stems from, uh, first of all, political tension, and religious tension is there, but mostly it's political. Religion has been used and politicized a lot. So, and of course there are religious tension, and there are also incumbent governments who have not performed that well, but they're still incumbent. I don't really understand why. And the reason which most of my friends point to is the fact that we as citizens do not find any suitable candidates other than those in power, because there aren't really any youth who moves forward into politics. And that is the main reason why our country is in this state, and the youth prefers to go to a foreign institution or a foreign country to live. you know you have IITs over here. We have uh, IITs which you need to give lakhs of rupees to get into. We have universities over here which facilitate uh, good education, but within a very limited amount of financial resources, which is the reason why research doesn't happen that well in this country. A few days ago, the R&D chief was pointing out the fact that R&D has to answer to the government whenever any failure happens, which is not the case in the case of United States. Their research development wing, or whatever there it's called, their research wing, it has a 10% success rate, which is pretty normal whenever you're doing research of any kind. And out of those 90% which is thrown into trash, they don't really have to answer to the government, they don't have to answer to the Senate. And that is the reason why they're developing. Of course, there are internal politics which I would discuss later on, but still they are developing because of this, availability of laws which do not inhibit their research because of uh, financial and political strains. Now, we do get a lot of money from the GDP. Our education, the percentage of cut which we get for our research and education, it's pretty hefty, but it's not used properly. I think majorly because of this fear out of accountability. Everyone fears accountability. uh, so anyway, these are the faults residing within our country. But what about the faults residing in other countries? Obviously, it's affordability. And now, if you think you would go to a European nation and you'd live freely, that would make you very much delusional, because the price, the cost of living is absolutely skyrocketing in these countries. Maybe if you had gone over there 30, 40 years back, maybe it would have been far more affordable. But now it's pretty bad over there. The quality of life is pretty good if you have a high status of living. But other than that, uh, most of my friends over there, they tell us how many homeless people are there. And it's mainly because of lack of jobs over there, lack of proper minds over there. There's also enormous social tension. There's the number of cases of mental disorders, mental illness, not disorders, but illness is, it has skyrocketed over the years, because the youth over there have been in constant pressure of understanding themselves. They have been in a certain unique position which other generations haven't faced themselves with. If you consider the generation fighting the World War II, they were in a very difficult state. If you look at the United States, they were in Great Depression, and the economy collapsing in a very strange manner, in a very abysmal manner. Eh, those generation people, they had to fight from the skin, and they faced it their own way. The next generation, the boomer generation, were the most worthless generation ever. They actually enjoyed their lives a lot, and they found their jobs pretty quickly. And that's why you have boomers over here always questioning our self-proclaimed disciplined. So anyway, that's every generation has some kind of problem, and our parents or our elders should know that we as a generation also need to go through this kind of phase where we struggle to identify ourselves, where we struggle to find a need, find an importance to life as a whole. And in order to do that, we tend to find relief in things we shouldn't really do, which actually harm ourselves, and that in turn turns us pretty bad, pretty ugly in the end. uh, we lose whatever we have. But anyway, what I was trying to tell you, that we should first of all love the place we are living in. I'm not a very uh, overtly nationalistic person, but I am a nationalistic person in sense that we should love the place we live in. You know, yeah, I love the place I live in. I would love to develop that place, and I know there is shallow politics going on everywhere. You know, whether it be you sipping a cup of tea with someone and you say something which might not, which might anger that person, that which might annoy that person, and in turn it would hamper your life later on. This kind of stupid stuff happens all the time. But at the end of the day, you need to love the city you're in or the country you're in. Countries, it's humongous. India is it's huge. You can't really love everything about India because you haven't traveled to every place in India. India is somewhat like Europe, United Europe. You know, it's funny to say, but it exactly is like the European Union or something. But anyway, what I would end by saying is that we should really start accepting the good things out of these foreign countries, these developed countries, not every foreign country, of course, these developed countries, and try to implement them in our own countries. Try to be good leaders. Politics isn't something that is absolutely trash. I mean, it is trash, of course, but if you have good administration, yeah, things become much more smoother. So if you have a youth leader among yourselves, try to tell him not to be very try to tell him to be very much pragmatic and think about the society as a whole, and be more progressive instead of being so much conservative, because conservation ends up in nothing. You can't conserve everything forever. You need to innovate, and that's how our society has evolved over the past. We keep our culture, integrate a culture to innovation in a way that no other country has, and that is exactly what makes us different from other countries. So we should love our country. We should love the place we are living in. We shouldn't leave that place in search of treasury somewhere else. uh, we should obviously look for jobs, and try to establish an institution which provides such jobs. I know it sounds easy. It's very easy to say, and it's very difficult to make it happen. But do try it instead of searching for corporate jobs. I think you should try to be more innovative, and I mean, I try to be innovative as well. I have this certain dream, you know, of setting up my own studio, and animate stuff. But and I'm trying my best to do that. I'm also trying to learn some other things, and I hope you do the same thing and help our country become great again.